school housing. The city of Amsterdam pioneered the idea of municipal, low-cost housing for the working class. Most of the buildings were constructed in the first half of 20th century, when a special law, Woningwet 1901, made it possible for the municipalities and housing cooperatives in Netherlands to receive the financing from the state. From 1920 to 1930, traditionalism, expressionism, T-style, constructivism, and rationalism were parallel movements in the Netherlands. The expressionism of the Amsterdam School was the most successful style of 1920s.
The reason why we're here is that this is a quite large area of social housing that was built starting in 1917 during the First World War and going on until the mid-20s. And the best of it was designed by a guy called Michel who I talked about a bit in that lecture I gave, who is responsible for that stuff here and the stuff around this square. A local architect who went into the school that the clerk was at and did drawing classes for them as a sort of freebie, you know what I mean? And he was terribly impressed by the clerk and got him into his office, but he was never trained as an architect. But he was the guy, the clerk, who did all the detailing on that splendid shipping company thing that somebody went in and looked up the stairs. But he didn't design the building, but he designed the details. And then he was 20 when he did that. And when he did these schemes around here, I think he was 28. What he was doing, I think, was using ideas that had a kind of long history in Amsterdam, the perimeter block, those kind of internalized spaces that we went into, the Big Eindhoven yesterday, and all kinds of lessons from Amsterdam, but he was trying to sort of modernize them. So it was this sort of like, 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future kind of thing. And I think he was just about the last, to my mind, of a generation of architects that really tried to understand the importance of close-up detail in architecture. It's not abstract concepts, it really goes through to what the thing is like at close range. And you can see that very nicely if we kind of walk around this square.
The buildings were often built in round and expressive forms, with towers, ornamental spires, and decorative windows and doors. The walls of Amsterdam school houses certify to the craftsmanship of its builders. Constructed from many sorts of differently profiled bricks, despite its decoration remains simple and clean in their form. The usually figurative sculptures were integrated into these brick buildings. Wrought iron elements, usually painted black or very dark green, so called the Amsterdam green, were used as simple decorative or functional elements. The most important architect of Amsterdam school style was Michel de Klerk.
It's a very different concept about space and of course the street scene and how people had to live in the streets actually. So that is nice. And of course this post office is a very important facility as well. So the housing association who gave Michel de Klerk the assignment for this building, they really wanted a post office. And it wasn't normal for, in a working class neighborhood to have a post office because the people didn't have any money. So why would it be even more special that Michel de Klerk designed this whole interior? Even at this counter, you don't see any angular forms, which I'm sure you've already noticed outside. It's really inspired by organic forms, and it is nice. It's just this one big way. It's 1 floor lower than you can see everywhere else in Amsterdam. And this was something the architect really fought hard for, because he really wanted to create this English garden style kind of thing that every worker had the right of a little garden, and it had to be quiet and nice and peaceful, and it was really required that the houses were lower and there was a little park. The communists, I don't know, the poor people were lots of very left oriented, and further on there were lots of Catholics again.
Moving from the old town of Amsterdam to recent developments like Borneo Island and Java Island, explain the array of architecture and urban design. There is a stark difference in the build character of the old town with the new. The common feature is the water. With more than 100 kilometers of canals in Amsterdam, it has led its way to be redefined as Venice of North. It was amusing for most of us to experience the vibrancy and variety offered by the city. Borneo Island. Two peninsulas in the eastern part of the Amsterdam docks were to be exploited for water-related activities, as well as 2,500 low-rise dwelling units, with a density of 100 units per hectare. For a new interpretation of the traditional Dutch canal house, West 8 suggested new types of three-story, ground-accessed houses, deviating from the usual terraced house in being strongly oriented to the private realm by incorporating patios and roof gardens. By repeating this type in a great variety of dwelling modes and with maximum architectural variation, an animated street elevation emerges with a focus on the individual. Moving further from Borneo Island after refreshments, we reach Java Island, similar in building use but different in heights and open spaces. Java Island. The Java Island is a part of Amsterdam's Eastern Harbour district which was transformed into a residential area in the 1990s. On the basis of urban master plan by Soeters, KCAP has realized 200 dwellings, various commercial spaces and an underground car park with this redevelopment. The KCAP program was distributed among 9 buildings that stand overlooking the quayside as well as in the courtyard-like spaces within the architectural blocks. A single concept was applied for the facades of all the buildings. Diverse forms of fenestration are set at varying distances from one another. This results in an attractively varied frontage, a contemporary variant of traditional canal side architecture. Day 2 ended with a couple of debatable ideas and thoughts on the old and new developments of Amsterdam. A fine dinner at Pancake House followed. Truly a must-visit destination in Amsterdam.